So let me just preface our discussion. I'm not trying to get pregnant right now. I'm in a different headspace. But I was trying for about 3 years, and I went through several fertility books. They were all very packed with wonderful information about vitamins and herbs and acupuncture and all that. And I took everything in, and I did everything I could for about 3 years. And although now I'm not trying to get pregnant, but we discussed about your book, I remember, with a common friend at lunch when you were writing it. And I wanted to see what it is about and what I did, and if it's the same kind of information. And so I picked up your wonderful book, Popping Past 40, and I was actually very pleasantly surprised. You have all that good information about nutrition and vitamins and all that, but you have the whole spectrum. You have spirituality in it, making space for your partner and your baby, healing the traumas in your childhood. You take us through your dating years, which is so much fun. I mean, you have a knack for storytelling. I mean, it's amazing, and you do that even when you talk about nutrition and stuff. So I couldn't put it down. I thought I would just skim it through, but it's a page turner. I was like, okay. And you talk about healers and clairvoyance and things that are intuits, things that I got interested in recently. And I am actually working with I work on and off. I work more with one healer, intuitive healer, and I discovered my own intuition power, which is very exciting. And I totally dug your book. So it's so much to unpack. It's actually also it's a big book. I don't know how to go through so much information. I loved it. You start and tell us what you think is more relevant for somebody who is trying to get pregnant past 40.
Well, first of all, I'm so grateful to hear all of this information from you, and how you felt really just touches my heart. And it's the whole reason why I wrote the book. I really wanted the reader to feel like they were just hanging out with me, like we were just having a coffee in
Exactly.
in our lounge.
That's how I felt.
Oh,
yes,
good,
two
good.
girlfriends,
Yeah.
girlfriends chatting.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. And I, like you, I did not have this book when I was trying to get pregnant. And so that was my main that was the impetus for writing the book, because I just felt that I would have these conversations and women were jumping right to all of the interventions. And I did too. I mean, in the first part of the book, I talk about how my girlfriends all sat me down and they're like, "You're going to do IVF, right?" And I'm like,
Yes.
I don't know, and I just feel like this idea of, kind of hitting a thumbtack with an anvil. You know what an anvil is? It's like this very heavy weight. It's this huge thing. And it's enormous, and like you use it when you're making something from metal, and you use it as your base.
Yes.
So for me, it's like you're taking a thumbtack, which is the tiniest little push pin, and you're hitting it with this huge enormous thing. And the body's so delicate, and there's so many things that have to align so perfectly just to have a baby. It's amazing to me that there are all these like pregnancies happening, because when you think of all the things that need to be perfect in order to actually not only get pregnant, but then keep a pregnancy. Like, I was having a conversation with a woman while I was still writing the book, and her mother had 4 kids, and then had 3 miscarriages late term at like 5 months.
Oh my God.
And they couldn't figure it out. They're like, why is this happening? Right?
Yeah.
And what it ended up being is that the cervix could not hold because it had already gone through like 4 births.
Oh.
So this one doctor, this is like 40, 50 years ago, this one doctor finally was like, oh, maybe we need to do a procedure and tighten up the cervix. So they
And
tightened
that
up
was
the
it.
cervix, and then she had 3 babies after that. But could you imagine going through that heartbreak and then from a simple thing that like
Yeah.
could have been
Simple.
figured out? So now it's like, it's not just about, you know, yes, everyone that wants to be a mom should be a mom and experience that feeling of being a mom. But there are women that really feel a pull to have large families, you know?
Yes. Yes.
So I just feel like everyone should get what they want, kind of, or get what they need for their spiritual evolution.
It spoke to me what you were saying in the book, that when the spirit, the soul of a baby is close by, you feel it. So I'll burst into tears. Everybody who tell me that they were pregnant. And now I realized it was probably, another baby waiting for me to be their mom. But I didn't understand all this, and I'll burst into tears. I was so emotional. It was unbelievable.
I'm very faith-based, and I really believe in God, and I believe that that these dreams or desires are put on our heart, you know, because
For a reason.
that's our evolution. And so, you know, I feel like a lot, like women get like, why do you need to have so many kids? Or, you know, but the thing is, it's like, well, we don't know what their spiritual journey is and what they need to learn in this lifetime and what their agreement was before they came into physical. Like, we just don't know. And so
Yes.
it's very easy to judge people, and I just
And
feel
to judge myself, because I was like, why isn't enough? Why can't I be happy with just one?
right.
Because you judge yourself, like, what's wrong with me? Like, why do I want to still be a mom? Am I afraid of something else? Or, it's a judgment that we put on ourselves before others judge us.
Well, there and in the book, there's also, I feel like it's really important to kind of understand why you want to have a kid.
Yes.
So like, and I talk about that in the book.
Yes.
When I was thinking about the second one, for me, it was definitely ego, seeing what my body could do, maybe wanting her to have a playmate. It wasn't really rooted in that soul connection with a baby being. And I just feel like unless it's very clear that there is a being on the other side that wants to come through you, and it's like a spiritual connection, where is that coming from? Because for me, every time I thought, oh, we could try for a second one, when I realized it was coming from my ego, I said, that's not good enough to bring a baby into the world, into this world, what's going on now. And I really feel like the souls that are traveling now, we all signed on for this insanity that's going on in the world right now. So I feel like the people that are here now are like strong character, you know, of a strong character.
That can withstand whatever is going on now, and can
right now.
Yes. So somebody who's starting on this journey of having a baby, what do you think this first step should be?
Like everybody comes at a different thing. Like some women want to have a baby and they haven't met the guy yet. Some women have the guy, but maybe the guy isn't the right guy. You know, some women have the perfect guy, and then maybe they're like working 90 hours a week. Maybe the finances are not great, and like they can barely take care of themselves, but they want to have a kid. Just kind of figuring out, where are you now? Why do you want to have the baby? And what does your life look like now? And is that even something that makes sense? You know? Because if you have the tug on your heart of the baby being, and let's say you're working 90 hours a week, then that's a conflict. That's not a clear message to a baby being, come in now. Or let's say you are wanting to have a baby, feeling the baby being, but you're so worried about your appearance and you want to be super skinny. And so you're doing like spin classes and eating very little. And like a baby's not going to go in that place either.
Yes.
You have to send a very clear message to a baby, and that you are in a very healthy place, physically, mentally, that you have a certain level of stability, it's kind of like you want to let them know, I'm available and I'm healthy and there's plenty for you here. I was approaching 40. I hadn't met John yet. And I got advice that I should just have a baby on my own, which there's nothing wrong with that. If it's very clear for you and you have tons of family money and you can get help and you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
And you live near your parents and you know what I mean? Like there's a scenario where that's really great. But because for me, I grew up with, my father died when I was on the young side. My parents split up when I was
14.
very young. And so for me, I wanted to give my child a daddy. Like that was really important for me. So when I was like interviewing men to be my husband, it was really important. Do you want to be a daddy? I mean, I wouldn't like come out and be like, do you want to be a daddy? That's freaking crazy. But I'd be like, why are you dating? What are you excited about? And I would ask these sort of very leading questions because I wanted to know, where was their head at? That doesn't mean I want to go be with that person, but like, so many women are afraid to talk about stuff. And I say, like, the earlier that you just sort of find out where the guy is at, the better it is. Like I've spoken with so many women. Oh, I don't want to scare him off. I'm not going to let him know I want kids and marriage. I don't want to scare him off. And it's like, no. The sooner you say, why are you dating? I'm dating because I'm excited about building something with another person, not you necessarily. It's, then it's like, it's not about them at all. If you do it on the first, second date, it has nothing to do with them. You're not saying, if you wait 6 weeks in and you're like, I really want kids, or, then it's pressure.
Yes.
But I always want to empower women that when you're in the beginning stages of dating, you just kind of say, you're having your cocktail and you're like, so why are you dating? And just see what happens. If they say, oh, I like to try new restaurants and I like to meet new people, it's like, that's not going to be your kid's dad. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I went through this,
I read in your book how you went through this, and you're saying that women are so afraid to be liked that they forget that they need to like the guy,
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's directly from your book.
Like, who are you? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And why waste, as you were saying in the book, waste more fertility years on someone, So how should somebody go about looking at their diet when they try to get pregnant and they see it's not happening? Maybe that's an aspect they should look at, diet. So what would you advise?
So the thing is, I love blood work. I feel like blood work does not lie because you get your blood done. It tells you exactly what's going on in your blood. Like right now, even for my daughter, I get her blood work done. And that is not easy, getting blood from, now she's 6, but when she was 5, because I took her for her well visit, actually just when she turned 6. And getting that blood work, man, they do not like it. But I
Yeah.
also do like titers for her. You know, I don't know if you do
Yeah.
that for your daughter, but
I,
like
I yeah, I know I did for my dog,
oh,
titers.
really? Because they're so tiny. Yeah.
I was not just educated enough to do it for my daughter, but so I gave her all kinds of stuff. Now I know better, but
No, it's okay. I didn't find
yeah.
out about the titers till last year, but we were able to leave off a bunch of boosters because she
Hmm.
built up really good immunity, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, but I just encourage women to get their blood work done. Even things like DHEA, which is a male hormone that decreases in women after 35. And that's really easy to supplement. But if you just sort of follow guidelines, you know, people would take like whatever the guideline is in these books, you know. But I like to, when I'm working with a client, I like to know, okay, well, what is the level? And then if it's low normal, we can goose it a little bit. You know, I like to play around and figure that out. But especially with today, with what's going on with our immune systems, I like to know what the vitamin D is. I like to know all that stuff. B vitamin, zinc. So you get like, and then I want everyone to get a good thyroid panel and then to really understand it. I like blood work. I really love blood work. And the doctors that I work with are all very skilled at reading blood work. And so then we see, okay, well, where are we deficient? Or where are we having inflammation? And you could tell this from the blood. It's like if you're having, you know, a cholesterol issue, that's an inflammation issue. It's not about eating cholesterol. You know that, right? You know,
Yes.
that's a whole misunderstanding that people think, oh, you get high cholesterol from eating high cholesterol. No.
No.
So anyway, as far as diet goes, I mean, there are basic things. What you want to do is flood the body with all these nutrients. And I have foods that I like that I call like strongman foods that are, if you look, I have a favorite website called whfoods.com. It's World's Healthiest Foods. I think it's .org. And the reason I love it is that you can go on and see, okay, how much vitamin K does something have? How much vitamin C does something have? You know, broccoli, for instance, has a lot more vitamin C than oranges. But for some
Mm.
reason, everyone's drinking orange juice. But orange juice also has 29 grams of sugar, and we don't want
Yes.
that, especially for men that are trying to get their testosterone to be robust, you know. Um,
Yes.
and people don't understand these certain things. And so in the book, I really go to educate people. And then in my private coaching, I really I look really closely at the diet. But there are basic things that are great for everyone. Having more dark green leafy vegetables that are cooked with fat is great for anyone. Like, I don't know anyone that wouldn't do better if they ate a little more broccoli with some olive oil. Like, everyone's going to benefit from that. I love kale. I love
Kale.
cabbage.
Yes.
And then we look at foods energetically. I had a client years ago. She was very skittish. She would shake, like she was very nervous and like this, like, you know, whatever. And I said, what's your diet like? And it turned out she was eating a lot of chicken. And what do chickens look like? They're like twitchy and nervous and,
Oh,
you know, like this.
oh,
And
wow.
and so, like, I want to look at someone and say, energetically, what do they need? Like, if I meet someone and they're really like in the clouds, airy fairy, right? I'll say, let's have more grounding vegetables and like sweet potatoes, things that are deep in the earth, you know?
Okay, like root
Um,
vegetables.
Root vegetables like parsnips and carrots and, you know, or tubers like
Mm.
sweet potatoes and purple sweet potatoes. Those Japanese sweet potatoes are
I
amazing.
love them.
They're
I love
they're
them. And the
they
color.
are
Oh,
they're gorgeous and they're a blue zone food. They're
oh.
the Japanese blue zones. They all
Mm.
eat that. And then, like I go into in the book, there are a lot of really great foods, but if they're not prepared properly, then they're going to not be great for your body. Like certain grains need to be soaked. Certain beans need to be soaked and pressure cooked, right? So
Yes.
you want to make sure that you're eating things properly. It's kale is great, but if you're having raw kale and you're trying to get pregnant, that's not going to be great because
Why?
so in Chinese medicine, there are the three heaters. There's the heart heater, the
Mm,
digestive heater, and the reproductive heater, right? And you
yes.
want those to be robust, strong, fiery, right?
Warm. Yes.
Warm and fiery.
Yes.
So when you go to a classic traditional Chinese medicine doctor and you're trying to get pregnant, they'll have you put, they'll have you make sure that like your lower back is always covered, that you wear like a, like warm layer there right by your kidneys. And you got to wear warm socks and, that kind of thing. But we can also do that from within by eating warming foods.
Yes,
Foods
actually,
that,
my acupuncturist, yes, and my doctor made me do that. I'm the cold body type.
mhm.
So, but he told me like, even if you don't try to get pregnant, you need to eat more soups, more. I never like to drink cold drinks. And in your book, you also talk about that, like what's wrong with room temperature. And this country,
Yeah.
and Europe is not this culture of drinking cold
Right.
drinks.
Oh my
But
God.
in this country, everybody goes, if you serve them a drink that is not cold is offending
They
or
need ice, and I don't even have
yes.
ice in my house. I bought an ice thing because when my mom comes to visit, she loves ice. I
Yes,
don't know.
yes.
I
We
can't
buy
stand it.
ice when we have guests.
Right.
We don't have ice
And I
otherwise.
can't stand it. So exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not good for trying to get pregnant. So that's the reason why I like the hot soups and stews and everything, because that's gonna keep those heaters strong. I mean, if someone comes to me and they
So
have hot, yeah,
yeah. So you have a practice. You are a coach, right? You
yeah.
coach people to get pregnant. This is
Mhm.
your practice. I'm not quite sure what your
So I'm a
practice is.
certified holistic health coach, and I have an advanced certification in uh, health counseling also. So I deal a lot with like the headspace, but also I'm trained in over 80 diets. And, like if someone comes to me and they're real hot, like their nose is red, their face is red, uh, they have a heart situation, like those make great vegans. Those people
Yes.
go on a vegan diet, but not if you're trying to get pregnant. But if you have like, your hands are always hot, you feel hot all the time, not like a menopausal hot, like a heart heater
Yes.
hot. So those
Oh,
are good vegans. But
oh,
yeah.
what about me? I'm always cold. So I was told I'm not a good, I was vegetarian and I was told I shouldn't be.
What's your blood type?
Zero.
Oh yeah. You got to eat meat.
Yeah. And I was vegetarian for years and years. And a
Mm.
doctor, this holistic doctor I'm working with, he was like, it's so tough on your body.
No, it's
Don't you
hard.
struggle with this? I was, yes, I struggle, but I believe in this. And no, start eating meat.
Yeah. So this is the thing. So I was vegan for 2 years, vegetarian for like 7. I almost died of pneumonia when I was 24 because I was strict vegan. And the thing is, I'm a B positive blood type. So I need some animal protein, but not a huge amount. My husband really needs animal protein. He's like you, he's an O. Um, and the thing is, the blood actually, O's have more protein in their blood. They need more protein. You need it.
Mhm.
Like if
Okay.
I if I'm with John, he will crave a hamburger to the point where he's like grumpy and like he needs some sort of heavy animal protein once a week. That said, everyone's different. So we
Yes.
all have our blood type, we have our ancestry, we have what we believe. So I know for me, and I'm sure this was your experience too, a lot of my decision to become a vegan was because I didn't like the way that animals were being treated. And I didn't like this idea of eating something that, you know, a
Was
sweet,
killed for
yeah.
me.
When an animal in the wild that's predatory, like if a wolf sees a sheep or whatever, He's like, oh, that's going to be delicious. And he starts salivating. He looks at that animal. When I see a sheep, I see a sheep. They're so cute. I don't think that's going to be dinner. When I see a chicken, I'm not thinking, oh, that's going to be delicious. I'm like, oh, look at that little creature.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really hard. But that said, especially when you're trying to get pregnant, you need some sort of animal protein. Now, that could be pasture-raised eggs and some grass-fed milk, grass-fed cheese. So, if someone really has strong conviction and believes that they want to shy away from animal or steer clear of animal protein for their
ethical reasons. Yeah.
Then there are ways to do it. But being a vegan, you can't. So I had a friend who was a very famous kind of in the raw food community. And he and his wife had like 5 miscarriages, and they were all raw, 100%. And, they finally had children, but the thing is the body, and they lived in the Northeast, I mean, if you're going to do a raw diet, you better be living in like Dominican Republic. Yeah. Somewhere where it's warm, hot, where you're like need that cooling, So diet is really, it's a crazy thing, and it's a very individual thing. And I think there are people that come out in the nutrition community and they say, this is the way to eat this way, but it's a one size fits all. And I really want to encourage people, explore what makes you feel good.
If you can talk a little bit about your work with healers and intuitives and clairvoyants. I got into this. I actually have an episode with the healer that helped me the most, Abel Yares. He's in Portugal, but he's an American living in Portugal.
Wow.
And
I remember you telling me about your healer, and I was really intrigued. I'll watch that episode for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I discovered there are so many healers, and so many people who access this, the intuition part of them. They're, like Abel was explaining to me, is like playing the piano. You have to practice, and some people are more gifted than others, but everybody has intuition. And getting in touch with that part of me, doing readings, basically, I realized, our subconscious mind offers us all the time information that we need to the questions we have all the time. We just ignore it. And it's not about feeling as much, because we tend to, intuition could be gut feeling, but not necessarily. It's pure information that pops into your environment again and again and again. And to me, that was amazing to just pay attention, like without feelings, to things that pop into my radar.
Right, like Joe, to go here, do this, do that. Like even dumb things. You're like, well, why should I go on this route to go somewhere?
Yes.
Why do I need to go on that? I remember when I was in Manhattan, I lived in Manhattan for like 20 years. And every time I honored intuition with going on certain subway cars. So I would be on the train, and then there'd be a nudge. Okay, go on that car. And I'd be like, I don't want to go on that car. It's all the way down there. I have to walk down there. I have to go through all these people. And then I would get on the car. There was always someone I knew. There was always someone I knew on that car. And it was like someone I hadn't seen since like high school, or, someone I used to take voice with, or, you know what I mean? And so I just feel like there's intuition. There are like these little things that we got to listen to. And especially when you're trying to manifest a baby, it's big. It's big. That's the time when you really need to tune in, because you just don't know. Like it's kind of like even something as simple as a craving, right? So why are we having a food craving? So I like to use the example of premenstrual women with chocolate. So before you get your period, there's like this real intense feeling, I need chocolate. And for years I was like, what is wrong with me? Like why? And why is this a thing with all women? Like, oh, chocolate, oh, my period, And then I realized chocolate has a lot of magnesium, and to make it easier with the period, you have some magnesium. So, you know, when you get a craving, you really want to look at that craving and see what are the nutrition components of whatever I'm craving and why is that. There is a real correlation between dairy and needing comfort. So that's why when you watch these
mother's milk,
when you watch these romantic comedies, they're always sitting there eating ice cream. Like we just watched the Gilmore Girls, and so my daughter, she's 6, but she loves the Gilmore Girls. And then my husband, who's 55, he loves the Gilmore Girls. So we're watching Gilmore Girls, and she breaks up with Dean. I don't know if you ever watched the show, but it's
no, I don't know the show. No,
it's very easy to binge the show. It's a great show. It's before all the, you know, it's from the early 2000s, so it's a very innocent time before the insanity of COVID and the internet, and cell phones were just starting. So there's no social media. It's a very clean, sort of easy time. So she breaks up with the guy. And she doesn't just have a gallon. She has one of those 5-gallon tubs of Ben & Jerry's with a huge like serving spoon. She's just going at it. And you know what? There is something about mother's milk and dairy. And so it's like, well, what are we really needing? We're needing a hug from the mother energy. So maybe instead of having a pint of ice cream, you could go call your mother. If you don't have your mother, you could go be with your friend. You could Zoom with someone who makes you feel loved. And so there are all these things on the energetic plane that, like, why are we getting a craving? What do we need? You know, what's going on? And in my sugar workshops, I spend a lot of time on like, what is your thing? What is your thing? So there are people that love ice cream. There are people that love baked goods. There are people that love candy. And when I go and I do a deep dive, like, what's the deal with the ice cream?
I like cake.
You like cake?
I don't like ice cream. I like cake. What does it tell about me?
Well, we have to think of what that means to you. So like, I was working with one guy who was, you know, every time there was an issue, he was eating ice cream. And for him, it was after, when they had soccer every Friday, after he won a game, they would go get ice cream with the dad. And it was the only time that he felt that he actually got the father's energy and he was worth something. So for him, ice cream means a sense of worthiness. You know, there were women in my workshop that, you know, with baked goods. And when we dialed it back and did some detective work, there was a lot to do with grandmother energy and the grandmother baking and coming in and smelling fresh bread or smelling like an apple tort or something, you know, the butter and the smell of the heat and the sugar and the, you know what I mean? And so there's a lot of emotions tied up with sweets. Even to this day, if my husband's going through something, I know that he needs his grandmother, right? So his grandmother was this amazing Italian cook. She was from Italy, and, you know, and so I'll like make something with red sauce because for him, that is the ultimate hug from the great hereafter. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so it's once you can lift the veil and kind of see what is my relationship to food, what does that mean to me? And when I really dig deep, you know, what is the candy thing? What does it mean? What is this sugar thing? What is this pasta thing? You know, it's usually rooted in something that's very beautiful or significant. And so this is the work I love doing. I love doing that kind of stuff. We're like, well, what does it mean to you? You know, I can't stop eating cookies. Well, first of all, don't buy the cookies. But let's find out, you know, like why.
But so you're saying usually you find that it's a good connection with this food, but then the person has an addiction, it's eating too much. So you just help them have a healthy balance, right?
Well, they're trying to recapture something from a time before, you know, they're trying to recapture like a food memory on a subconscious level, a feeling like the guy who's like now 60 years old and now he's sitting and eating ice cream, but he just wants to feel worth something. He wants to feel worthy. And so he's trying to recapture on a subconscious level until we did the digging. He's trying to have the feeling of the father being like, that was a great game. And so what I say is like, well, how do you do that for yourself? And actually, I'm reading something. Oh my God, this is so good. I'm so in love with this right now. It's this book. It's on audio. Do you know her, Mel Robbins?
Yes, I think I listened to her.
So
some of her.
So she wrote a whole fucking book on high fives. You know, like high five.
Yes,
like a high five. And she has all this scientific research on how when we do this, it's a celebration, and how you can actually do that in the mirror to yourself. And so we need to figure out, you know, especially with what's going on with the isolation, like how do we do it for ourselves? You know?
Yeah. Yes.
Because that's the relationship that, frankly, if you can develop that and get that where it needs to be, then you can be a great mom, you can be a great wife, you can be a great daughter, you know, all these different things, but it starts with you. And so I really recommend that to your viewers. I just love it. I love her whole thing of what she says with it. It's so powerful.
I remember when we had that lunch with our common friend talking about your book, how you pictured the launch of your book with Hoda from I don't know, she's Good Morning America or something
Today
like that. The show, Today show, so did anything come of it? Did you get in touch with her?
Did I tell you that I met her? Did I tell you the whole thing?
Yes, you told us that you met her, and she said, you know, when your book is ready, get in touch with me.
Sending it to her with this week. So I'll just show you guys. Look at how she's so interested in me. Look at her.
Yes.
She's like, oh my God, this is great information. Look at that. She's like, oh wow, I can't believe it. This is great. I love Hoda. So I just love her. I just freaking love her. So I'm gonna send her the book, and you know, see what
comes of it.
There is nothing like we're talking about self-help books and self-help authors and spiritual growth workshops. There is nothing that will grow you like becoming a mom.
Oh yes,
it's the ultimate self-help. It's the ultimate.
I agree. And plus intuition, like that's why the doctors always say trust the mom. Mom knows
mother's
best.
Intuition.
Yes, mother's intuition, because you have this extra sense that develops in you immediately. You are a mom, and you like it's something that
the weirdest
wakens
thing, right? You know when your kid is. So let me ask you a question. Were you like amazed by how much you grew as a human by being a mother? And the other question is, doesn't it bring up all your shit? Like all your childhood shit comes up.
Yes.
And everything comes up. And then you get a second chance to sort of
to heal yourself.
To heal that. Like, isn't that crazy? Yes. Like even just school stuff with your daughter, and then you see it and you're like,
yeah.
And then you realize like, okay, well, I wasn't skillful because I didn't have this information when I was a kid.
Yes.
But now you can share that. You know, they don't understand at that age that their opinion of themselves is the most important opinion of themselves. And so for the thing that like the training wheels to that, or the precursor to having a good, strong self-esteem, really comes from the mother. You know, it's like
no pressure. Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's no pressure. It's your entire child's self-esteem and how they enter the world is all on you, mom.
On the
But,
mother, yeah.
but it's true. I
It
mean,
is.
it's how, if they don't think they look pretty because you're telling them, like my mom, the things that my grandmother criticized her about are still things that she's insecure about. And that's why she was so, like with me, she was very careful not to criticize my appearance. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think she definitely error corrected that. And like with me, because people were so vocal about, because I was very overweight as a child, and
You talk about it in your book,
yeah.
yes.
And I'm just like very aware that when I see kids on the playground, it's just, you have to be very skillful, you know? Um,
It breaks my heart when I see kids at the playground who are overweight. It breaks my heart. And I also believe that fat is a way of protecting
oh,
yourself.
yeah. Like you talk about energy healers, and it's an interesting thing. So I went with my best friend Andrea. We went to like one of those uh like life expo things where they have like all the energy healers and they all have booths, and you know what I'm talking about? Like
I've never been, but
it's
I
called like
can
the
imagine.
New Life Expo or something like
Okay.
that. It's where they have all the clairvoyance and the oil, the essential oil people and the stone people and the healers
Crystals
and the
and yeah.
crystal, And so I remember going in there with her, and I turned to her, I go, everyone's fat.
Ah,
Why are they all fat? She's like, because these are very sensitive people and they
they
need to
need.
build a barrier. And you know what? When I've worked with clients that are like victims of like assault, and they were thin up until the assault, and then they put on all this weight, and they're like, I just
Yes.
can't lose this weight. And I'm like, what happened? And it'll come out, well, I don't want to be attractive anymore because I'm afraid of getting beaten up, or raped or whatever. And so there's a lot of protection. So like with me, when I was very overweight as a kid, food became my friend. Food was always there for me. When my parents weren't there for me, when I had no friends at school, food becomes your friend. And so the thing is, when you see these kids at the playground that are overweight, like I always strike up a conversation. I want to know what's up. I want to, let them know that they're smart, that they're capable, that they're beautiful, that they're interesting, that they're funny, because no one's telling them that, I feel
Obviously, yeah,
yeah.
obviously, these are kids who suffer in some way.
And then
Yeah.
sometimes it's just a lack of education. Like there are parents that are really loving and lavishing and really involved, but if they don't know how to create food that's going to nourish their kid, maybe they're on food stamps. Maybe like all they can afford is like, the pizza pasta, like the quick carb type of thing. And so it's like really like you just don't know what's going on. And
Yeah.
so that's why I love education. I love teaching people,
Yes. Yes.
there's cheap food that you can nourish you,
Yeah,
um,
exactly. You don't need to have a lot of money to eat or to nourish your body. Like for me, when I discovered that carbs, eating first thing to eat in the morning, carbs is the worst thing you can do for your body and your energy level throughout the day. That was a day that changed my life.
right.
I yeah, not quick carbs
Not the
that,
quick card,
you
not
know.
like you're talking about, like you don't want to have like a pain chocolat first thing in the
Yeah,
morning,
exactly.
but
That, yeah.
there are people that really do well on like slow carbs. Like
Yes.
people do well, like I know my husband right now, he's loving this sprouted grain cereal that he loves,
Oh yeah, that's
you know,
different.
with like a
I
full fat kind of milk. He uses almond milk, but you know, some people do well on but you're right. Like, it's funny when I see the parents giving the kids donuts first thing in the morning, I'm like, oh man. But
That will,
that's all
yeah,
they know. So,
yeah. Yes. Well, Donna, thank you so much for this discussion. There's so much in here for everyone. So before getting pregnant and after, how to continue your journey to eating healthy, being healthy, yourself, the family, and of course they can reach out to you for
yeah,
because you
more
have
support.
a private,
Yeah.
more support in your private practice. Thank you so much.
I love talking with you. I miss you. I'm so glad that we got to connect today. And